My good people, my good people. Hello, world. Welcome back to the show that's hot with your boy Rob Scott. This is Robs2Cents. Episode 8, y'all. We steady moving. We steady trucking ahead. 2021 is over the horizon, and I see big things for this show. You damn right I do. But before we get started on any segment, as always, want to thank all my loyal supporters out there, people that tune into the show faithfully. I appreciate you. I see I'm starting to get a buzz. People can't wait for that Shame on You segment, and you know we gonna talk some shit tonight and today for those who are gonna be watching it the next day. Um, but yeah, before we get started into the show, got a couple shout outs I want to give. First of all, want to give a shout out to my little brother Brandon Scott. He hit me up over the weekend, let me know he has a Twitch page out. So all my video game streamers out there, RunninSkizz, powered by Smoking Session Entertainment. You can go here for your game streaming, good laughs, and powerful conversations. I'm gonna have his link in my bio on this YouTube video, RunninSkizz for my people that's listening on Spotify or iTunes. That's RunninSkizz on Twitch. I also want to give a shout out to my other little brother who started his own company, As People LLC. He deals in vacations, basic stock and investment information, job resources, father's rights, and life ministry. So if you just need someone to talk to or you need somebody to help you understand your rights as a father out here, especially being a black man, my brother is the guy you want to talk to. Also going to leave his name and Facebook page in my link on YouTube. For my people on Spotify and podcasts, all you have to do is look for Ray Scott, RAYSCOTT. You'll see his business card as his profile picture. And last but not least, I don't know if you guys can see this. I know I got the mic in the way. Don't want to touch the mic to give it bad sound quality. But I'm wearing a shirt, custom made, made by one of my longtime friends, a person that actually gave me my opportunity as a first-time supervisor. I ain't forgot about you, Miguel. But my boy Miguel made this shirt. He does apparel for all of your Chicago wear. He reps the city proud, as you guys can see. Cruise the Shot, 312 on the star. So definitely want to give him a shout out as well. Maz, that's M-A-Z, 316-1018 on Instagram. Hit him up, place your orders. My boy doing big things out here. Remember, it's for all of your Chicago apparel. And last but not least, want to give you guys an update on what I've been doing besides the podcast. I'm actually on the ground level with my boy Frank, who's starting his own record label, Level Up ENT. As I mentioned before on one of my previous podcasts, Franco Nitty, the welcome is out. So go to, live mixtapes out here or anywhere where you get your mixtapes from. Go search the welcome. It's some hot music. It's some different music where you really feel like you want to come up. We ain't gotta always talk gutter to let you know that we from the gutter trying to come up, okay? So I wanted to give all my shout outs to all my people. As you guys see, not only do I ask people to support me, but I support my people. And that's the way it should be. It's enough out here for everybody to win. But I know y'all, I know what you came here for. You came to talk that sports talk, didn't you? Yes, you did. And I'm here to talk it right with you because we have some hot topics today to discuss. We're going to jump right into who misses each other more. Does Tom Brady miss Bill Belichick more? Or does Bill Belichick miss Tom Brady more? Well, the Patriots have not been doing so good this year. And they are currently at 6-8 right now. If you can probably hear in the background, I have New England versus the Bills going on right now, and New England is currently losing, missed an extra point. So right now, score is currently 10-9. I'm hoping they can at least win this game to make it somewhat of a decent first go around with Cam Newton. I'm a huge fan of Cam Newton. And I'm a huge fan of Bill Belichick. I believe he's one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game. But I think from what we've seen with the Patriots, Tom Brady made Bill Belichick. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of slack from this, but we don't call Tom Brady the GOAT for any reason. Because Bill Belichick has not won anything without Tom Brady. A lot of people don't even realize he was a coach before he got to the Patriots with the Cleveland Browns, I want to say. So it's not like Bill Belichick has been had a winning record before he got with the New England Patriots. And on that fateful night when Drew Bledsoe got injured, Tom Brady was able to step in and never relinquish that starter position. And as we all know, the end result, we saw 9 Super Bowl appearances with 6 Super Bowl titles. Bill Belichick is definitely missing Tom Brady more, but if you don't want to take my word on it, let's look at their respective records right now. Now, as mentioned before, New England is 6-8 right now. They're third in their division, 2-2 record against their own division, losing to both the Bills and the Dolphins. And let's talk about that Dolphins game. Patriots lost to the Dolphins 22-12. Cam Newton 17-27 for 209 yards. However, 0 touchdowns, 0 INT, but he also came through with 38 rushing yards. And the bright spot of that matchup was Jacoby Myers, who who had 7 receptions for 111 yards. Defense couldn't stop the run game, flat out. That Patriots defense is not the Patriots defense we seen of old. However, to give them a little bit of slack, they've been on the field a lot more because that offense has not been clicking. I mean, we've seen games where Cam Newton's only thrown for 68 yards. And when I say the defense couldn't stop the run, let's look at what happened. We saw Salvon Ahmad, 23 carries, 122 yards for 1 touchdown for the Dolphins. And then the hot rookie sensation, Tua Tagovailoa, was 20 of 26 for 105 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interceptions. However, he did contribute with what? 2 rushing touchdowns. That defense has not been the same. It's not the Patriots defense we've seen back in the day, where we used to know that not only can Tom punish you, but that defense can punish you. And then we look at Tampa Bay, or Tampa Bay, as Skip Bayless likes to call them. Right now, they're 10-5, 5th place in the NFC in total, 3-2 in their division, with their only loss coming to the Saints. And with those 2 losses to the Saints, that was the first time in history that Tom Brady has been swept by a division rival. And right now, if the Bills win tonight, the Patriots will now be, this will be their first time that they've been swept by a division rival since they had Tom Brady. I mean, right now, we look at what Tampa Bay has done. If we look at the last game that they played, they defeated the Lions 47-7. Tom Brady had a hell of a game, and it only took him 1 half to do it. 22 of 27, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 INT. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that happened all in the first half of that game. He was able to sit out the second half, and the Patriots cruised to a 47-7 victory. And with those 4 touchdowns Tom threw, they were to not only 4 different receivers, but to his 4 best receivers. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown all received a thrown touchdown pass from Tom Brady. How good has Tom Brady been on the year? Well, right now, Tom Brady is 36 touchdowns, only thrown 11 interceptions, and has about 4,200 yards passing in the air. I mean, if we compare him to his 2019 stats, in which he was with the Patriots, and the Patriots were able to clinch a playoff berth. I believe they were 12-4 last year, and they had a second round exit. No, actually, they lost in the wild card to Tennessee. They lost in the wild card to the Titans. 2019, Tom Brady was 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and then about 4,000 yards. So if you look at his numbers with Tampa Bay, they are better. And yeah, he has more weapons. That is one of the reasons Tom Brady left the New England Patriots. He had nobody to throw it to. I mean, Julian Edelman was there, but he's always hurt. You know, he takes a lot of licks, and he's a small guy. And then Jacoby Myers and was there, and I believe they had Gordon there. Josh Gordon there for a couple games, but he wasn't there throughout the entirety of the season. They had Antonio Brown come in for one game, and it was just an aberration. We saw what Tom Brady could do when he actually has a weapon to throw it to. I mean, you put any quarterback in that position, and you get what you see now with Cam Newton, because Cam Newton is not a bad quarterback. He has no weapons, and Bill Belichick sometimes is stuck in his ways, and that's one of the reasons that Tom Brady decided to leave New England and take his talents to Florida like LeBron. Now, he didn't quite go to Miami, but he went to Central Florida and Tampa Bay. And it's ironic that Tampa Bay starts with TB, and they welcome TB, who equals TDs. Simple math. We look at what Jameis Winston did for the Buccaneers last year. He didn't have, well, we're not going to say he didn't have a bad year. Come on, let's look at the numbers, man. The man threw 33 touchdowns, but also threw 30 interceptions. That's almost as bad as give it to him wins. I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards, but he's always had weapons like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So we see the difference of what happens of when you put a quarterback in the game that executes as opposed to a quarterback that's just a gunslinger. Now, right now, Tampa Bay is starting to hit their groove, and that's the perfect time because after beating Detroit 47-7, Tampa Bay clinched a playoff spot. Tampa Bay hasn't been to the playoffs since 2007. Let that sink in. That Tom Brady came and in 1 year he changed life for this franchise. As opposed to we look at his counterparts over there in New England, they didn't make the playoffs. They're third place in their division. And they have ended one of the longest streaks, let me correct myself. They ended the longest streak in NFL history because the Patriots, until this year, had made 11 straight playoff appearances from 2009 to 2019. They made 11 straight playoff appearances, and this year they will not be going to the playoffs. You want to know the answer to that question that I posed at the beginning of the show, who misses who more? Bill Belichick definitely misses Tom Brady more. And when you have a generational talent like Tom Brady, when you have a quarterback that knows how to win, we look at Tom Brady, he's one of the best quarterbacks to be down going into the fourth quarter, going into the second half, and able to overcome obstacles. Look at what he did to Atlanta twice. Won in the Super Bowl and won a couple weeks ago. Tom Brady is a champion, and he knows how to win. And Bill Belichick, even though Tom Brady is 43 years old, Bill Belichick need to be kicking himself in the ass for letting Tom Brady go. Tom Brady, with what he has done for that New England franchise, was supposed to retire a Patriot. But now we get a chance to watch Tom Brady in the NFC, and I believe Tampa Bay is going to make some noise because, like I said, he is starting to get accustomed to the weapons that he has on his team, and he has a lot of them. Let's see what Tampa Bay can do in the playoffs. And this brings me to my next segment because we're talking about top teams, top players. Let's switch to the NBA for a second. Are the Brooklyn Nets for real? Are the Brooklyn Nets the real deal? From the 2 games I've seen from the Brooklyn Nets, are they the front runners to come out of the Eastern Conference? You don't even have to wait on my explanation. Yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. Let's look at what KD has averaged these couple of games. He's averaged 26.7 points off 53.2% from the field. He's shooting over 50% from the field, and KD does not shoot all layups. And his running mate, you want to know what Kyrie been doing so far? 29.3 points on the year at 61.1% from the field. The Brooklyn Nets are looking like a team to be reckoned with. Now, I know they had a little lapse in focus yesterday against the Hornets. That will happen. We are going to be going over a 72-game season, normally 82, but due to COVID and the quick start and quick turnaround, which was actually a quick start from the bubble, but in reality a late start from where we normally start at. they have 72 games to play this year, and we do realize KD is not going to be playing in back-to-back games. Kyrie is not going to be playing in back-to-back games. So I don't expect the Brooklyn Nets to have like a 72 win, 60 win season, but I do expect them to go at least 55. You know, what's that? 55 and 12. That'll get you to your. 55 and 17. That'll get you to your 72. So I do believe that they have enough pieces to at least get that accomplished. They already had a great victory against a powerhouse in the East in the Boston Celtics. And based off my eyeball test, their style of play is seamless, with KD letting Kyrie control the reins of the offense, getting everybody in place. I do have a couple things that I could critique the Nets on. For one, Kyrie and KD, you can tell, especially, I've played basketball before, maybe not organized basketball, but I've played basketball and I've studied this game to the T to kind of know when a player or players are saying my turn, your turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. You can tell KD and Kyrie right now are treading thin ice, don't want to step on each other's toes. So you can kind of see that at times they kind of let each other go off when necessary. And then at times that ball movement, though, that player movement is beautiful. Like I said before, I'm glad that they didn't go after James Harden, even though it was an interesting dynamic, just because you will have three of the biggest names in basketball today on the same team. But like I said, KD can play without the ball in his hand. KD does not need the ball in his hand to be successful. KD can still get you 35 by just running backdoor cuts or running off screens to get open threes or just fast break pull-ups. KD is a monster unlike we've ever seen ever in the NBA. 7 foot tall, can move like a guard, built like a guard, actually, because the guy's skinny as heck. But you can't judge a book by its cover, because I see KD move people out his way in the post. Hey, he might not be built to show, but he built to go. And KD has been proving that this year. Then you have Kyrie, who's probably one of the better ball handlers in the league. You have a stud in Karis LeVert coming off the bench, who right now he's giving you 13, but last year he was giving you 20 points a game. We know his scoring output is going to go down a little bit, but with the Brooklyn Nets organization letting Karis LeVert run that second unit, man, the sky's the limit. He has the ultimate green light. However, the bad news for Brooklyn, I just found out today on my way home, actually, while reading on the ESPN app, that Spencer Dinwiddie has went down with a torn ACL. Now, the good thing is they're not putting him out for the season. They actually said based off his rehab and his recovery, he should be able to return at least by the end of the season or before the playoffs start. So that's a good sign for the Nets. However, they are going to miss Spencer Dinwiddie, especially, last year he gave you 20 points off the bench. I mean, he gave you 20 points as a starter. Regardless if KD and Kyrie are there, you're still going to miss 20 points off of your team. As we know, he injured himself yesterday in the Hornets game, where he went out the game in the third quarter. So I'm sending all my best well wishes to Spencer Dinwiddie. Get well soon. I hope you're able to come back to join your team, because right now you guys have an opportunity to do something very big, because the Brooklyn Nets are for real in the Eastern Conference. And until Milwaukee, Miami, Boston, Philly, Indy, until you guys can show me something, right now I got the Brooklyn Nets coming out of the East, bearing that fact that they are injury free. And I had to get quiet on this segment, because this is the segment that is the most wanted. This is the segment that is popular by demand. Now, I know yesterday we saw some games in the NBA where we saw some unexpected losses on the day. We saw the Knicks beat the hell out the Bucks, 20-plus points. We saw Cleveland dub the 76ers. And as mentioned earlier in my Brooklyn segment, we saw Brooklyn lose to the Charlotte Hornets by 2 points. 106-104 was your final score. But what we saw yesterday with the Los Angeles Clippers, shame on you, Los Angeles. Matter of fact, shame on you, Clippers. You don't even deserve to be called Los Angeles right now. What in the hell did we see yesterday? Oh, I'm going to tell you what we saw yesterday. We saw a team go down in history as the only team to be losing by 50 points by halftime. The score was 27-77. You got to be playing all type of wrong basketball to be down by 50 points at the half. Were we watching an NBA team versus a G League team? Was we watching an NBA team versus a team from overseas? No disrespect to my people overseas. I got a couple friends that play overseas that has more pride than what I saw from the Los Angeles Clippers yesterday. And I really want to put my attention on Paul George. Because Paul George, you just got paid $190 million for 4 years. And this is the type of performance that you give up? This is the way you show up to work? This is how you tell an organization, thank you for paying me this much money? You give them 15 points in 24 minutes, 4 of 13 from the field, 0 from 6 from the three-point line with 4 turnovers? I know Kawhi didn't play yesterday, but that ain't no damn excuse of why you are down by 50 and a half and then lose by 51 in the game. Did you even pinch the bitch? Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on the Los Angeles Clippers, and big time shame on Paul George, because that's horrible. There is no way that you should have been down that much and then go to the post-game interview and say it's no big deal. No, you're no big deal. And I'm going to take away what I said about Gordon Hayward, because he showed up against Brooklyn yesterday. Now, I know that was an aberration. I know he's not going to do that all the game. But at least that man had enough pride to understand that I got paid all this money. I'm going to give you everything I got. Shame on you, Paul George. You have officially became the most overrated and overpaid player in the NBA. And you heard it here on Robs2Cents. Shame on you. But on a lighter note, I want to talk about in the NFL, who is going to fill these last playoff positions? Because there is a tight race going on in the NFL right now, and it's going to come down. A lot of games are going to come down to the last game in the season. We look at the NFC right now. We have the Packers, Saints. Packers at 1, Saints at 2, Seahawks at 3, Washington football team at 4, Tampa Bay at 5, Rams at 6, the Bears at 7, Chicago Bears. Yeah, I said it, y'all. We got a chance to make the playoff. And then we have the Cardinals at the 8th position. Now, in case some of you guys don't know, and even I was mistaken about this, the NFL has a new format now. So instead of the traditional 12 teams that we see in the playoffs, 6 coming from the NFC, 6 coming from the AFC, there are now going to be 14 teams in the playoffs. So we have 7 coming from the NFC and 7 coming from the AFC, which means the team in first place in those respective conferences will get that first round bye, meaning they get the rest of the extra week. However, there will be 3 wild card games to determine, okay, who's going to be playing now in the semis, and then, of course, to the NFC title game, AFC title game, and then eventually to the Super Bowl. So with the Bears being in seventh place, they are right now. If the season ended today, they will be going to the playoffs. So if we look at the NFC, there have only been 4 teams to clinch a playoff berth. That's the Packers, the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Buccaneers. So right now, Washington is up in the air. Rams are up in the air. Of course, the Bears, the Cardinals, and all the way down in 11th place, the Cowboys. They are still in contention to make the playoffs. We will talk about all of this in a second to bring clarity to you. I just wanted to give you some type of perspective so you can see bigger picture. Let's talk about the Bears first. We got to start off with Shot City, my city. Ride with me. Right now, the Bears own the tiebreaker over Arizona. So, in order for Arizona to have to get into the playoffs, the Bears would have to lose to the Packers, and Arizona would have to defeat the Rams. Not the case for the Bears. With the Bears, it's either or. So the Bears can either beat Green Bay, which is highly unlikely, especially considering the fact that Green Bay will be playing their starters 9 times out of 10 because the Saints are still in a position, not much of a position. There's a lot that has to go on for the Saints to get in that position, to be first place, to get that first round bye, which they most likely really need, especially to give Drew Brees some extra rest. Remember, this man is coming off injured lungs and about 11 cracked ribs. But the Packers will be playing their starters 9 times out of 10 because I know that they want to clinch that first place by round 2. So either the Bears have to beat the Packers or the Bears can lose to the Packers, but as long as Arizona loses to the Rams, everything is fine. Now, also some tidbit of information that I just learned before I started the podcast. Jared Goff, who was the quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, just had surgery on his thumb. So he will not be playing next Sunday, and they're hoping to get him back for the playoffs. What this means is that Arizona is going to get a chance to go up against the backup quarterback. Now, I'm not throwing the Rams under the bus because the Rams still need to win as well. They're not in any position to really get out of the playoffs. However, they will want to win this game just to have some type of momentum going into the playoffs. But I really hope that Chicago can show me something, that they can beat Green Bay, and that we can clinch that 7th playoff spot and make a little noise in the playoffs. But that's not all. The Rams will the Washington football team, excuse me, who just today released their backup quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. As you know, he had a little debacle this past week where he was fined $40,000 for breaking COVID protocols because he was seen photographed at a party around a lot of people with no mask on. Shame on you, Dwayne. How the hell you let an opportunity like this slip up in your fingers because you want to go party? No discipline. And that clearly showed why you played the way you played. And Washington football team has decided to part ways with them. We do know that Alex Smith has been battling with a sore ankle. So they're hoping that they can at least get Alex Smith to come back for the playoffs. But I believe the backup quarterback will be in for Washington because Washington's place is not set in stone. Washington must beat the Philadelphia Eagles to clinch the NFC East crown and a playoff berth. They will be playing Philly, I believe, Sunday night's game. And based off how this defense played this past week, they're going to want to stand up. And they're going to want to make a statement because that defense let the Seahawks run all over them. Now, if they lose, then the winner of the Giants versus Cowboys games will clinch the NFC spot. So Washington has to win. Their playoff opportunity, their playoff aspirations are strictly in their hands. I know that they have a very young core, especially on that defense side, but I hope some pride kicks in and they realize that this is an opportunity of a lifetime and that they go put it all out there and they go win the game. Now, Arizona, they need both the Bears to lose to Green Bay and they need to defeat the Rams as mentioned earlier. So they the Rams just need either or to happen for them to clinch. So either the Bears win or the Cardinals lose. Either or, one of those things happen. The Los Angeles Rams will be in the playoff picture. So if I look at the NFC, if I have to go based off the remaining teams that have not clinched a playoff berth, we're looking at Washington, Rams, Bears, Cardinals, and Cowboys. I want to stick with Washington because they were my choice to come out of the NFC East. And I'm going to stick with Washington. I believe that defense will show up. I believe that defense will be too much for Philly, even though Philly will probably come out with a point to prove because Jalen Hurts didn't have one of his better second halves in the game. I believe he threw one interception and had about 2 fumbles. One of them was a questionable fumble, but a fumble was called nevertheless. So if I had to look at these teams right now, I would say Washington will clinch, Rams will clinch, and the Bears will clinch. And we will round that off with Packers, Saints, Seahawks, Washington, Tampa Bay, the Rams, and the Bears will be your 7 in the NFC East that will be moving on to the playoffs. Bears, I got faith in you. Don't let me down. And then if we look over here at the AFC, their race is even closer. We have Kansas City at the first position, Pittsburgh at the second position, Buffalo at the third, Tennessee at the fourth, Miami at the fifth, Baltimore 6, Cleveland 7, and the Colts are in 8th place. Tight race because if we look from Tennessee on down to the Colts, each one of those teams have a record of 10-5. So there's going to be a lot going on that needs to take place to see who's going to develop into these last place. What needs to go on? Let's talk about it. So if the Bills beat the Patriots, who are now 6-8, they will move on. They will move to second in the AFC. So if the Bills win tonight, they'll be taking over Pittsburgh's spot as the second best team in the AFC conference. Now, if the Titans defeat the Texans, who's 4-11, which is highly probable, Tennessee will win the division. So right now in the AFC, only Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo have clinched playoff berths. Their spots are set in stone. It's these other teams right now that are going to be battling out to see who's going to clinch those final positions in the AFC playoff picture. Now, for Miami, who now sits in that 5th place position, and they're there because they ran all over the Las Vegas Raiders, which officially eliminated them from playoff contention. And because both the Browns and the Colts lost, Miami sits in that 5th position. So right now, it looks like it's going to be a lot that has to happen for Miami to lose out of the playoffs. Baltimore, who is now in the 6th place, they'll earn a playoff spot with a win over the Bengals. Highly probable because the Bengals suck this year. Now, we know we've seen that aberration with them beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers turn around and have a great comeback victory against the Colts. So I believe Baltimore can win that position, win that game over Cincinnati, and they will clinch that 6th spot and a playoff berth within the AFC. Now the Browns, who has a tough task ahead because they lost to the Jets and that pushed them back. However, there are 3 things that can happen for the Browns to clinch the playoff berth. They will either have to beat the Steelers, which is going to be a tough game. The Colts will have to lose. and the Colts are going to be playing. I believe. Who are the Colts going to be playing? They're going to be playing the Jaguars. I'm sorry, and either that or the Titans will have to lose, and the Ravens. If the Titans lose, the Ravens, Colts, Dolphins will win. I'm sorry. If the Colts win, then they will have. Then the Titans will have to lose, and then the Ravens, Colts, and the Dolphins will have to win their final regular season game for the Browns to sneak into that spot. So that's a lot that's gonna have to happen for the Browns to get into that spot. So they're hoping their future is not in their hands. I'm hoping that the Browns are able to make a playoff position. They've been playing excellent this year. Baker Mayfield has finally been playing like the Baker Mayfield we knew he could be, and the guy that's in all these State Farm commercials. So I actually am pulling for the Cleveland Browns to clinch that final spot. And then as for Indy, after that crushing loss, as I mentioned, to the Steelers, they have a tall task as well to enter the playoffs because first they will have to beat the Jaguars. Then either the Titans, Ravens, or Browns or Dolphins will have to lose. So they're going to be hoping for one of those three teams to lose a game, so that way they can clinch the final playoff position. Also, if they win, the Titans lose, then Indy can clinch the fourth place in the AFC South and not only claim a playoff berth, but also claim the AFC South division title as well. So Indy has a lot on the line right now to get into this playoff position. So if we look at the AFC playoff picture, like I said, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo are in. Even though the Colts have been my dark horse of this year, I'm gonna say the teams that are in their respective spots now will make it to the playoffs. So we're talking Tennessee, Miami, Baltimore, and Cleveland. They will be in the AFC title picture. The Colts will be on the outside looking in this year. However, if Phillip Rivers continues to play like he's been playing, the Colts definitely have a bright future ahead of them. And I also want to give one more shout out to Tom Brady. Tom Brady right now sits at 577 on the all-time passing touchdown list. Drew Brees, I believe, is right under him at 564. So right now, it doesn't look like he's at 577. Drew Brees is at 568, excuse me. And the only active player right now that is even on that list is in fifth place, which is Phillip Rivers, and he's only at 420. So Tom Brady right now looks like he's on a mission. And if he can at least play one more year with Tampa Bay, we might see that man have a career high of 600 passing touchdowns. What an accomplishment. Shout out to old GOAT Brady. TB equal TDs. I told you. And as we get ready to wind down for the last part of the show, I know this is normally my wrestling segment, and I want you guys to comment. Do you want me to keep the wrestling segment? I know a lot of you guys don't watch wrestling, so it might be kind of hard for you to follow where I go with this. But I would love for you guys to comment in the comment section or reach out to me personally. Would you like to see Robs2Cents continue their wrestling segment? If not, I will create a Robs2Cents wrestling edition for all my wrestling fans out there. So I'll get you guys to tune into that. So comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Also comment in the comment section. What topics would you like to hear discussed on Robs2Cents? But we're gonna end tonight. It's a little bit on a somber segment because the wrestling world has lost a great man. We say rest in peace to Jonathan Huber, aka Luke Harper, but better known as Mr. Brody Lee with AEW. We found out over the weekend that Mr. Huber passed away from lung problems. Thankfully, it's not COVID related. And we were wondering where he had disappeared to because he was actually hitting his stride in AEW as he had just lost the TNT title, but we were interested to see where that next step was gonna go. I believe he would have been a champion in AEW. He just had a certain charisma about him. I liked him when he played Luke Harper in the WWE and the crazy thing he used to do with his eyes, and he definitely had a way around the business. But how much he was liked around the business, it was just all struggling to me because it was just all inspiring, I should say, because it's so many people are outpouring on social media of how much he meant to them and how much he meant to this business and how he helped in the development of not only them as a wrestler but them as a human being, and the admiration that these people have for him with his family. As we know, he's going to leave behind, I believe, 2 sons and his wife, Amanda Huber. And I just want to run over a few accolades for Mr. Jonathan Huber, a.k.a. Luke Harper, a.k.a. Mr. Brody Lee. He was a one-time NXT Tag Champion, 2-time SmackDown Live Tag Champion. He had one run with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton as they did the Freebird rules. If you guys are not familiar with the Freebird rules, there was a team back in the day called the Freebirds. And what happens is, if me and my group wins these tag titles, then anyone from my group, any 2 of us can defend these titles, which means we're all the tag team champions. So at that time, Bray Wyatt had his Wyatt family going on, and Randy Orton and Luke Harper were his 2 allies within his family. And because Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt won the tag titles, that made Luke Harper a tag team champion as well. So it goes down the record books. Then he also had a run, of course, with his boy Eric Rowan, who was also part of the Wyatt family, and then they left and came back revamped as the Bludgeon Brothers. And they were able to win the SmackDown titles, I want to say, from the Usos. And they ran rampant over that tag team division for a while. He also had a singles run where he was a one-time Intercontinental Champion. And, of course, just mentioned when he defeated Cody Rhodes when he made the jump to AEW. Revealed himself as the Exalted One, the leader of the Dark Order. And then he challenged Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship, in which he won. Jonathan Huber was a great wrestler. I personally didn't know him as a human being, but you get sad when you hear all of the admiration that his peers have for him, and it just lets you know what type of guy we lost. And I know that the wrestling business, they have all let their thoughts be known of how much of a great guy Mr. Jonathan Huber was. I actually want to read you guys a couple of Instagram posts that I saw from various superstars. Not going to keep you guys long. But if we look here from Braun Strowman, this one kind of brings you to tears. He said the crazy thing about this fan art, which the fan art kind of showed, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's pretty much has Luke Harper in the sky. He has his halo and he's saying goodbye to his old family, Wyatt family members. And it says, the crazy thing about this fan art is I'm sure I can speak for the rest of the guys in it and in the locker rooms he shared, that we all looked up to Jon. From day one when I didn't know shit about the business, trust me, he reminded me this on the regular LOL. He took me under his wing. His constructive criticism was like no one else's. He had no problem telling me when I sucked, but he also was one of the first ones to tell me when I did something good. We traveled the world together, and he had to put up with my crazy ass. I learned so much from him, and God, the memories I would cherish the rest of my life are unbelievable. We all used to joke about when we were old and fat and fired from anywhere that would let us wrestle, that we were going to take over that take over the medieval times business. And he said he was going to be the Silver Knight. And the Silver Knight ain't putting nobody's ass over. Because in the ring, he made everyone look amazing. He was one of the most unselfish men I've ever met, and an amazing husband and father. It was always magical being around him and his family because he went from salty old Brody to loving Jon. I wish I could walk out to the Fireflies one more time with you, brother. Those were the most amazing days of my career, and I will hold them until I'm gone. Save me a seat and a turkey leg at the round table. Ride hard, Silver Knight. I love you. And then this next post came from Randy Orton, who was a fellow member in the Wyatt family. I knew Luke from work. I always called him Luke. Some of us call each other by ring names, some real names. It gets confusing, but I always called him Luke. I've been in WWE locker room more than half of my existence, and there's an unwritten code. Respect is at the top. You have always heard about how much we all respected Luke and how much we enjoyed his presence. It is a fact. I'm telling you, on the back of a bus, traveling and away from family for weeks in a row, he was one of the ones I'd make sure to secure a seat next to on the bus. I'm not perfect. Never thought I was. Neither was he. But talking to him and conversing about our families as most husbands and fathers do on these trips, at some point, I learned that he was near perfect when it came to how he loved his sons and his wife Amanda. His wife was close to my wife, and she considers Amanda one of her dear best friends when it comes to the word friend in this biz. You see, many times there are acquaintances or co-workers or fellow talent, but with Kim and Amanda, I felt as if they had a female intuition thing going on and were meant to be friends. Amanda's attitude about the business her husband was in was a very positive one. It had given them everything as it has me and my family. But often, as in most professions, there are times when you get down on your current status. Luke and I often talked about the biz and how it affected our lives, our family, and us as men. I remember him saying that he wanted to do more and knew that he was capable of doing more. He was. Seeing him have the balls to take that leap of faith talking about AEW and seeing him make the decision was an inspiration to me. I was always proud of him, and at the peripheral vision, I watched him as a fellow 20-year vet and saw many things that impressed me. Not just the work inside the ring, but how he treated others in the back. I'm telling you guys reading this that this man's character is unmatched. I have many stories involving Luke and I will always cherish them. Know that he was a great human being. I'll be in that same locker room tomorrow and look forward to sharing stories about my friend Luke. R.I.P. Luke Harper. And last but not least, this is from Bray Wyatt, who was on record being very great friends with Jon Huber, with Brody Lee. And those guys have been working together for a while, especially with the whole Wyatt family thing when they was like a cult. So these guys have tremendous history together, and I really felt sorry for Bray Wyatt. And as you'll hear in this last post that I'm going to read before I call it a night, you guys will see the pain, will hear the pain coming out of this post. Bray Wyatt writes, "You were my best friend, my brother, my partner, my Terry Gorey. We changed this whole game because we refused to do it any way but our way. We were always at our best when we were a team, and I think we both knew it. We fought like brothers because we were. I'm so goddamn pissed. This isn't how it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be us fat, bald, and useless, running Wyatt family spots in high school gym in our 70s. Where do we go now? What do I do knowing I'll never hear your condescending sarcasm as I'm riding high? I miss you so fucking much already. I would do anything just to live through our worst moments again. And I can't believe you're gone. I'm so sorry, brother. I'm so sorry. You will always be a part of me whether I like it or not. Without you, everything is different. And I hope Amanda truly knows that I'm here, not just to say it, but because I love them too. I will make sure your son knows the incredible man you were. Not the legends people will tell, but the real you that very few people got to see. I promise I'll put him over clean and dark matches when he's old enough, just like I promised. I'm hurting so bad. I wish I had a chance to say goodbye. But then again, it's Saturday, and you know what that means. I guess this was a saying that they have back in the day. Save me a seat next to you wherever you are. That's where I belong. I'll be there when it's my time. Goodbye forever, Brody. I love you." that's just a few posts from current wrestlers right now who just, man, as I mentioned before, when you read that post from Bray Wyatt, it just really gets you choked up in here. So I'm going to end my night by saying rest in peace to Mr. Jonathan Huber, a.k.a. Luke Harper, a.k.a. Mr. Brody Lee. I thank you for the entertainment personally and for putting it all on the line every time you stepped out there in that square circle. Wish you well, my friend, and one day we'll all meet. And I just wanted to have a moment of silence for Brother Jon Huber. And I want to tell you guys, man, this is the end of my show tonight. I appreciate you guys for staying with your boy through all the ups, through all the downs, through me trying to make this thing work to me just going with the flow. I love you guys. Hope you guys have the happiest of New Year's. If you make a New Year resolution, you better stick to it. I know I am, because my resolution started in November when I started this podcast. Promise not to let you guys down. I appreciate you guys for staying with me, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening and a happy New Year. Be great, and you already know that slogan, baby. We got